It is time to speak about a team that is breaking headlines in MLS.
Are they not?
In season 3, episode 28, we were going to record a weekly recap of I don't even know what week we're on, 11, 12. But news broke this week,
Hold on.
today.
I could barely hear you. And my sound's pretty high.
You don't have your speakers on?
They are on. I'm on 70 volume right now.
It's because you don't have your fancy AirPods in and I'm not speaking directly to your brain.
Now it's better, but I don't. You want me to? I can put my AirPods in.
I don't care. It doesn't matter. But anyways, you can edit all that out.
I will.
That's on you. News broke today, this afternoon, that made us change our entire topic of what we were going to talk about. You can kind of see it on the board. Actually, it's not even on the board. And I've got the scarf of the week to do it. Welcome back to the Designated Players Podcast, everybody, where we are talking about FCC breaking into the top 10 of the MLS power rankings, everybody. The biggest news of the week.
Oh, wait. I have to change my scarf now. Whatever. It's too far out of reach.
You lazy bum. FCC have broken into the top 10 on their way to the moon. Biggest news of the week by far, no question. Nothing else compares.
Yeah, I mean, no disagreements from me. I'm actually going to go get the correct scarf. But if you want to keep introducing our topics, go ahead.
Let's say we're going to talk about this guy, Messi. Messi going to the other scarf that I've got, Inter Miami. That news kind of broke today as well. It's whatever. I'm not really whatever. Salary prices were revealed. We're going to see how FC Cincinnati have made it to the moon using a really good roster build. And then dual nationals from the US men's national team starting to be called in to other national teams. Should we be worried? We'll talk about it. Connor, what are your thoughts on FC Cincinnati?
I think the moon is an understatement of where they should be landing. I think we need to realign and just come to the fact that they are heading straight for Mars.
You know, I'm all about it. Before we dive into the Messi talk, obviously the biggest news of the week outside of FC Cincinnati, Lionel Messi rumored to enter Miami at the end of the 2023 season after his contract expires. We'll talk about it. But before we do any of that, Connor, what scarf you got? You also got an Inter Miami scarf?
Of course. Got to bring up the Inter Miami scarf if we're talking about Messi.
It is such a bum. Before we go into that, of course, we need the New York Met roundup. Doubleheader today. Mets won the first game and are currently leading. I'm sorry, they're losing the second game 3-2.
That's all right. We won the first game. We didn't even have a starting pitcher. It's just how good we are.
Yeah, we are the GOATs. Okay, it's time we talk about maybe the biggest overpay in league history, if rumored values are true for what is being given up to get him over here. Let's talk about initial thoughts. Messi has been rumored to join Inter Miami at the end of the 2023 season after his contract expires with PSG for essentially what is 35% of the Inter Miami brand. What are your thoughts?
I think to put that number into perspective a little bit, I believe someone said that that's about like 200 million right now is what that is valued at.
If you go on the high end, it is $227 million.
That is absurd money, which will only likely grow because the league is growing very quickly.
Correct.
I don't know if this move is for sure. We might dive into it a little bit later. I hope I'm not spoiling things, but Messi's camp did deny the rumor. I feel like we hear this rumor all the time ever since Inter Miami has even come into existence. It's like every single year, it's like, when's Messi coming? When's Messi coming? Messi's always been rumored to come to MLS. He was going to go play at Man City and then go to NYC. Now he's going to Inter Miami. He's going to take a portion of the club. I mean, I'll believe it when he's here.
Yeah.
I think
Next thing you know, you're going to hear that he's going to LA Galaxy. He's going to kick over David Beckham's statue. And build
literally,
one of
yeah, he's going to enter Miami on the promise that he gets to take Chicharito's lunch every day.
his own.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it would be phenomenal for the league. I mean, the guy's arguably the greatest of all time. He's still, I mean, he's 34. For most players, that would be like a retirement move to come here. But I mean, it's Messi. It's just different with him. He would come in and he would probably still do phenomenally. It would certainly be amazing for the marketing of the league. That's for sure. I don't feel like it's going to happen. I don't know if I believe it. Maybe it's just because of the false rumors in the past. So I'm being hesitant at the moment.
I'm likewise being hesitant, but for different reasons. I want to ask you, what type of impact would he play for Inter Miami? Let's assume that the deal gets put through. What sort of impact does he make?
I think obviously he's going to need help around him. He's not going to be able to do everything himself because that team is in some rough shape. I think there's the pieces that are starting to come together this season, but one of them being Campagna, which I don't think is a long-term solution for them. I think he's just here for the season, right? I think he's on loan.
He's on loan. Yep.
Yeah. That's probably not going to be a permanent move, I would imagine. He's still pretty young. I think he's going to look to go somewhere a bit more ambitious. But I still think he would. What would I think be a really good telltale sign to see how he would transition into the league is to see what happens with Insigne. I think what they could bring to the table for an MLS team could be similar. I think Messi would obviously be like a level above Insigne in terms of talent. But if Insigne comes in and is doing really well, I think there's a place for Messi to come in and do really well as well. But I think if Insigne comes in and struggles, maybe we see something similar to Messi. Not saying Messi would necessarily struggle because he's just so crazy talented, but maybe wouldn't hit the levels that people would expect of him.
You are looking at Leo Messi being used really. Let's assume that they basically use all the money to get Messi here, right? You're going to be putting Messi up on the wing with a line led by Robbie Robinson, Ari Lassiter. On the other side of him, Robert Taylor, Indiana Vasilev, or everybody's favorite, Breck Shea.
Yes, Breck Shea. Leo Messi and Breck Shea.
Bro, please don't get to my veins. Here is the conversation that I had with some of my teammates who are the definitions of Euro snobs. I will, for the most part. There are some who have come over to the other side. But here's my thing, right? Messi is a phenomenal player. Messi is very good because he gets isolated in one-on-one areas because everybody's worried about everybody else around him. You put him on this team, opposite flank of Breck Shea, and I'd be very interested to see the way that he plays. Will he go out and torch the league? Probably. He's just that good. But somebody compared him to Carlos Vela. If Carlos Vela can do it, Messi's going to do it 3 times over. Carlos Vela did it at 29 with the league's most deadly attack around him at the time, outside of maybe Atlanta. No, they set the goals record, didn't they?
Yeah, I would say their attack was probably a little bit stronger.
So there were other players to worry about, and Vela was able to get one-on-one. There's not a single striker on this team that I am worried about if Messi needs to combine or link up with somebody. Now, here's the other flip side of it. The impact is only as impactful as the number of games he plays. Thierry Henry, 2013. didn't play on turf, didn't play midweek games, didn't travel to the West Coast. He was 34. It's going to be Messi at 36. He follows the same suit. Now you're getting less impact out of him. He's basically just a marketing ploy. All right, that's a little harsh. He's probably not basically just a marketing ploy, right? But how long are you signing him for, too, right? You sign him on a 3-year deal, you're going to have a 40-year-old Messi jogging up the sideline, getting halved by Wyatt Almsberg because he doesn't know how to time a challenge. You think he's going to stick around for that long? No shot.
Yeah, why not? I mean, if he can like have an El Sino type role where he kind of just like plays, I don't know, maximum like 60 minutes a game, makes like 100 million off brand deals in the US, I would do that. Doesn't have to go play like West Coast games or something or midweek games like Henry. I would absolutely do that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If you're giving me a $225 million investment into a team that's only growing in popularity, and you're saying I only have to play a quarter of the games, yeah, in a heartbeat.
Yeah, but like even from a team perspective, think about how much money they bring in from him. Jersey sales, ticket revenue. Like, go ahead. What's your next? You could say the question.
What does he do for the team and for the league in terms of branding, and will they make their money back?
Yeah, I think it'd be huge for both, honestly. I think it would get people, it would like force people to pay attention to this league because there are a number of people who solely follow Messi, regardless of where he is, where he's playing. I think they will have to be forced then to follow this league, start to learn what's going on. Who are some of the players Messi's going up against? Who are some of the players Messi's playing with? It's going to get a lot more eyes on this league. I feel like it's almost similar to when Beckham came in. I think it was late 2000s or early 2010s. I forget exactly when he came, but I don't think he would necessarily have the impact that Beckham did because I just think there was more room to grow when Beckham came over for the league. But I think he will help bring a lot of eyes onto the league. Whether that ends up being good eyes or bad eyes, something to debate, honestly. You can go back to our talk on Eurosnobism. Is he just going to be bringing Eurosnob eyes onto the league? Maybe. But I think he will bring a ton of like, from a team perspective, if he goes to Miami, that's probably a ton of jersey sales. That's a ton of people going to watch the games. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if every time he's playing, they're like sold out. I mean, this is Zlatan on another level. Like Zlatan's a big name, but Messi's even bigger. Like people who are casual, like people who are fans here in the US of other sports and don't care about soccer, the ones that will say soccer is just boring, every game finishes 0-0, they know who Messi is. They know who he is. So he's a massive name to come over if he were to come here. So I think it would do a ton for the marketing and like branding of this league.
You got to be reading my notes or something, because that was my question after that is I hate you so much sometimes. So let me go ahead and try and jump back and hit all of the talking points that you just went through.
Sure.
Impact for Inter Miami. Yes, he will. So I'm playing the devil's advocate role today, if anybody hasn't figured that out yet, because I've seen enough big name superstars come to this league and do next to nothing and still be praised for it. What impact would he play for Inter Miami? And outside of simply the game on field, which we just talked about, right? He's going to have to, will his presence get them more than 7 wins? Probably, right? Just all by himself, I think he can do that. You mentioned jersey sales. You are talking about David Beckham giving up $225 million a year. A year in his valuation. Let's say, let me rephrase that, right? Because the valuation is $225 million, so 35%, right? Let's say that continues to increase at the rate of $100 million a year, right? So you're looking at $350,000 a year increase every time that Messi comes, or every time that the year goes on, right? I am looking at Statista.com, which is giving me Major League Soccer teams ranked by revenue in 2020. In 2020, Inter Miami made $14 million in revenue. I don't have 2021 numbers, but what you're saying is that bringing Messi in is going to increase that to the point that your valuation is going to increase 135% more, right? Fellow nerd, help me here. If you're giving up 35%, you're banking that bringing this player in is going to raise your value 50% more, right? So you're making 15%.
What perspective are we looking from, like Beckham's perspective?
From Beckham's ownership perspective, he's giving up 35% of what he's got to bring this player in hopes that he is going to sell enough tickets, enough jerseys, and get a new stadium and all this stuff so that he raises the price of his team to 150% of what it is now. So he's actually making money in the long run.
I don't know the exact percentage of like how much it would have to go up for him to like say this is justified, but I guess if you would have to think about it, like if Beckham owned 100%, now he owns 65%. If the club was at $1 million valuation, he would now go from $1 million to 650,000. So you would have to hope that Messi brings the valuation of the club up enough that he would go from 650,000 to over $1 million of value based on his 65% ownership.
Right, which is exactly what we were. Okay, so we're on the same page. I was on the right thought process.
Yeah.
Does that happen? Is my question. I don't know. Because and this is the example I brought up today. I can tell you that PSG built a super team this summer. Donnarumma, Hakimi, Sergio Ramos, Messi, they bought them all in, right? Greatest team on paper in history. I can't tell you a single score from that game. So does Messi coming over to Inter Miami actually bring eyes over to the league? Or do they just look at it and say, oh, he's over there. Great. I'm done. Are people in Spain, we'll say Spain, staying up midnight, 2 a.m. to watch Inter Miami versus San Jose on a Wednesday night? No, they're not. They're just not. I know he's going to sell jerseys. Every Euro snob in America is going to have a Messi Inter Miami jersey. You know what's going to happen. It's going to be the most sold jersey in the league. Great. How much does that go to the league? How much does that go to Beckham, right? Are they going to sell out every home game? 100%. Are most of the away games going to be sold out? Probably. Everybody wants to see the greatest player in the world. One of, right? No doubt he is going to raise attendance and ticket prices. But now I go to your last statement. Is he just bringing Euro snob eyes over? So now I want to ask you, is it better for him to succeed in this league or for him to fail in this league?
It's a good question.
I thought about this on the way home.
Honestly, it's a question I would love to hear from like other people as well, because I feel like people are going to have way different takes on this, like all across the board. I don't think Messi's performance, to be honest, at all, is going to change Euro snobs' minds, because if he performs poorly, then it's just, oh, Messi's 36 years old. He doesn't care. He's just riding out retirement, collecting a paycheck. And then if he plays well, it's, oh, the league sucks. Like, of course he's gonna play well. Look who he's playing against. So I think regardless, you're still gonna have Euro snobs. You always will. It's gonna be impossible to get rid of them.
What's that Meatloaf song? You took the words right out of my mouth. It doesn't matter. You can talk. So my buddy was talking about. I'll read back some of the messages here. Let me see here. He says, I'm definitely a lot more likely to watch random MLS matches now. And anytime Miami plays a game, it'll be sold out. Okay. Does Messi playing in Inter Miami mean that you're going to turn on FC Dallas versus Vancouver at Sunday at 10 o'clock? No, it doesn't. You're not turning on random MLS matches. You're turning on Inter Miami versus another team. You're going to follow a single player.
They're not even going to do that. They're not even going to do that.
For 3 weeks. Yeah. And then it's going to be over. Then it's be like, oh, I'm done with this.
It's just going to be like, oh, I'm clicking through. Inter Miami happens to be on. Oh, Messi's there. I'll watch it.
Yeah. So, you know, and this is my buddy who's got Charlotte FC season tickets. So he, you know, he's been at a bunch of games, and he's talking about how great the atmosphere is and how it's sold out and how sold out games are great. And I go, yeah, it's totally true. No question. But that doesn't mean that bringing Messi in is automatically going to make everybody in America a soccer fan, right? You're not going to see a ton of people following this league because of one person. You will see a ton of people following one person until he either does poorly, stops playing, or leaves, and then it's over.
I got a question for you.
So, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. What were you saying?
No, I was gonna round it off and say, so yes, it doesn't matter. You're either going to have people who are going to say they're going to follow Messi to discredit MLS either way. So 100% on the nose there. They're either going to say this league's too easy, he's the best, and this league is terrible, or he's riding out retirement, he's not trying, he doesn't care, doesn't matter. And then you're going to have the Ronaldo fanboys either doing the opposite.
Yeah.
So if Messi does well, it's, well, if Ronaldo was here, he would score double goals. Or if Messi does poorly, it's ha ha ha, Ronaldo's a goat, and you can't even do well in MLS. So you're gonna have this actually might be a worse PR move for the league in the long run than it might actually be.
No, it doesn't change.
I don't actually think that, but man, how crazy would that be, right?
The Messi and Ronaldo stands probably already think MLS is garbage, so it's not really changing anything.
Right. So Messi could come in and do anything and it won't matter. They're not going to credit the league. Because if they make their favorite player look bad, it's, well, he's done trying. He's here to retire and collect a paycheck. If their favorite player looks like a god, it's, yeah, your league is nothing to us. We could do whatever we want. And then it's flip. If their least favorite player is doing poorly, it's, well, it doesn't matter because you can't even do it against MLS. Or if they're doing well, it's, oh, it's only MLS. You will never get the success. You won't get anybody to buy into it, which is why, and this is for another day, I don't think big name players coming in are the answer to growing the league. And I think we've talked about this before. It's not big name players coming in, it's big talented players going out. And we've talked about that a bunch of times. You should go check all those episodes out. Which episode? I don't know. Watch all 104 of them.
All of them. Right now. All right. My question to you was, do you think if Messi comes over, does that improve the media coverage here in the US of the league?
Like outside of country or in country?
In country. Because like right now, ESPN gives like 0% coverage to this league. You think if Messi comes in, they start giving more coverage to the league? I mean, that's kind of an obvious question, but like maybe I should say like a more significant coverage to the league.
No. because it's all on ratings, and I think they will give Messi his time in the spotlight because they still do that now whenever he does anything in France, right? But they're not going, because Messi's here, they're not going to show again, and I'll use the example Dallas versus Vancouver highlights on a Wednesday night. They won't do it. They'll give Messi his spot, but they won't cover the league the way they should.
Yeah, I think that's a fair response. I would say I agree with that.
I guess one more for me. Assuming that the $225 million, and this is kind of to wrap it all up, $225 million price tag is legit. Is he worth it?
It's a tough question to answer because I think there's a lot of factors that go into it. I say, why not take the shot? I mean, sure. I don't really have an issue with it overall. He's one of the best players on the planet, even still now. I don't really have a problem with them, kind of shooting their shot with Messi. See if it sticks the landing, see if it improves the branding for the team. I mean, this team is so down in the dumps right now, especially after their whole 5 DPs issue. Maybe this is what they need to kind of, I don't want to say rebrand, but kind of like revamp the brand. So yeah, I say go for it, Miami.
I agree. I don't think he's worth the price tag. $225 million for 36-year-old Messi to get halved by Wyatt Armsberg at Yankee Stadium is not worth $225 million.
Why would he get halved by Wyatt Armsberg at Yankee Stadium? That's not even
Because
possible.
they're going to trade for him.
Wyatt Armsberg's going to be on Miami, and he's going to have Messi, his own teammate.
Wyatt Armsberg goes to score in front of Messi, misses scissor tackle halved.
Wyatt Armsberg's trying to get out of the way of Messi's shot, accidentally blocks his own shot, and then scissor kicks Messi, breaks his leg by accident.
I don't think he's worth $225 million at age 36. For the league, he's worth it. He is worth it would not surprise me if there is an under the table handshake between David Beckham and Daddy Don that is like, you bring him in, give him 35%, and we'll kick it back to you on the back end with some dumb roster rule or something. Wouldn't be a surprise.
We'll up 4 DPs, new roster rule.
Well, do you I wonder if they change something to when Messi comes in to make it happen. If he has David Beckham impact. Because that's another question. Will he be the most impactful signing MLS has ever made? I mean, that's a future one, right? I don't think so. Because nobody understands what Beckham did for this league. Messi's going to show up, collect the paycheck, ball out a little bit because that's just what he does. And he won't make changes in the league the way Beckham did. He will just play.
Yeah, I still stand by what I said earlier on Beckham versus Messi impact. I think Messi has more brand, I would just say like a higher impact overall, but I think the league has less to grow from Messi joining. Like the league was much lower prior to Beckham joining, and then Beckham joining obviously raised it a ton. I guess like the best way I could describe the difference between the two of them is if you flipped it and say like Messi joined when Beckham did, and like Messi, I guess at his same like prime as Beckham, he would have shot the league to the like higher than I think Beckham did. But
yes.
But I think it's mostly like the timing of when Beckham did it. That's why it was more impactful.
I agree. For Inter Miami, not worth the price tag. For the league, worth the price tag if he plays every game, doesn't take the easy way out like we were talking about. And if he continues to show, like if he goes out and is like, I'm only here for retirement money, league's too easy, or I don't even care if I win or lose, and it doesn't matter, I'm just here for money, then it's not worth anything because he's just fueling Eurosnobism. If he comes out and really talks up the league and where we're at and convinces other players that this is where it's supposed to be, I say it's worth it. And that puts him in the conversation with impactful, being as impactful as Beckham.
I personally don't think anyone will ever be as impactful as Beckham was.
Didn't say more. I said up there. If his play and his recommendations bring over
Griezmann?
Griezmann getting up there too.
Lautaro Martinez. I don't know. I'm thinking of like a young Argentinian.
Yes, young Argentinians to grow their brand and whatever. Then he gets up there because that's how you take your step forward in the global market.
He gets Kylian Mbappe to come.
Right Mbappe now. And Holland playing Red Bull soccer against New York City at a baseball stadium.
This just in, Kylian Mbappe declines his contract with Real Madrid to sign for RSL.
Bro, that's some beefish.
Salt Lake City is in riots right now. And good riots.
Good riots. We don't know who he is, but he's 90 rated on FIFA. Yes. All right. There's so much more we can talk about this Messi thing. We can make an entire episode. But initial thoughts, wow. But we knew it was coming. Would be interesting to see what type of impact he plays based off of the players he has around him. In the league, he'll obviously raise notoriety and ticket sales and jersey sales. It's great. Is he worth it? Like we said, for Inter Miami, if you can't build around him, probably not. For the league, if he grows the brand, absolutely. Is it better if he succeeds or fails? It doesn't matter. People won't respect us anyway. Shall I move on?
Yes, I think we shall.
Salary prices were also released today. The third most important thing. We have them out in front of us. And just a few general notes here. You've got some players here who take very, very large amounts of salary, while others probably should be getting paid more. I don't know if you had a chance to scroll through the list much, but
a little bit.
What numbers jump out at you immediately? Like, who is just, you're like, wow, I can't believe this happened.
So I have like an overarching kind of takeaway that I've gotten from this list, and that is it pays to leave this league and then potentially come back. Because if you look at the guys that have been developed in this league and what they're earning, I'm looking at Jesus Ferreira, whose fantastic play last season earned him like a designated player's contract. He's got 1.5 million on here. He's making less than Michael Bradley and Blaise Matuidi. Giassi Zardes, who's been consistently a top player in this league, 1.55 million. Both of whom making less than Ashley Fletcher. And then you could look at it, Rodolfo Pizarro, Gonzalo Higuain, both of them are top 15 earners in this league. And then even just looking at Josie. Josie's one of the top earners. Why? Because Josie left and then he came back. So I think it pays to leave this league. It's like, if you remain loyal to this league, you don't earn money. I think that's not to take the conversation off of MLS. It just feels similar to the job market, just like even with more everyday jobs. Like it just seems like it pays to jump somewhere else because they will, I guess then like recognize your value. Like they're not paying loyalty. Like, why is Jesus Ferreira not making more money than Ashley Fletcher? Jesus Ferreira is a proven player in this league. Proven. He's the top goal scorer in the league right now, and he was phenomenal last season. He's making less than Ashley Fletcher, who's provided absolutely nothing to this league so far. that's
Not
just kind of
wrong.
that's just kind of my overall takeaway from this. I think that's probably a whole other discussion. It's just something that I kind of noticed.
No, I like that pickup. That's very interesting. You note that it's like you develop here, you leave, and then you come back, and you're like, well, I'm a European player. You have to pay me like one.
Yeah,
And
yeah. If you want to make money in
$4
this
million
league,
to sit on my bench.
yeah. I mean, if you want to make money in this league, you have to leave the league. Like I'll scroll through and look because I'm curious to know what player who's been in this league his whole career, like which one is the highest earner.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I
I'm
believe it is.
looking.
Sorry, I think I just found it. It's I believe it's Darlington Nagby, making 1.76 million.
Wow,
There
that's more.
are a huge number of names ahead of him.
The other side of this. So players who are jumping out at me, right? Josie was the big one, right?
Yeah,
Um,
that's for sure.
yeah, Josie's getting paid $4 million to be a bench rider on Bruce Arena's reunion tour. He's getting paid double what Gustavo was making. It's disgusting.
It's crazy.
But you're also looking at players who are like unbelievably important to teams, making next to nothing. Look at John Tolkien, a consistent starter for New York Red Bull, making $100,000. That's an absolute steal. I think Mark Fishkin did an analysis of like player minutes per or dollars per minute or something. I think they're making like $79. They're like paying John Tolkien $79 a minute to play right now up through this season. Yeah, so the biggest thing that jumps out at me is there's so much disparity in what we're doing. So again, you look at teams like New England. I'm going to blow this up so I can look at it better. You've got 4.5, 2.5, 1, 3.5. That's 7, 8. You've got $11.5 million tied up in 4 players that are your big name whatevers, right? And then you're looking at players like Brandon Bai or DeJuan Jones making 300,000. Henry Kessler is making 170. Sebastian Leget's on another mill, while you've got Tommy Mack on 2.4. Matt Polster. The gap in pay for the bottom to the top is massive, and New England isn't even that bad, right?
Oh yeah.
You look at
Miami. I'm sure. Go look at Higuain compared.
Oh yeah,
Higuain
Miami is a great example, right?
Higuain probably out earns him and Pizarro. Put those two together, I think they out earn every other person combined on the team.
Bro, if you put them together, they're more expensive than majority of teams total.
Yeah,
I think Dallas probably has the best roster build outside of Franco Jara. Right, you've got a bunch of kids, right, playing like pros, which they are. Paul Ariola's on 1.3, Jesus Ferreira on 1.5, and then Franco Jara on 3.5 mil. It's disgusting. Paxton's on 700K, Facundo Quignon on 840. But then you've got players like where's the one that stood out to me? Marco Farfan, right? Left back that you got from LAFC, 225. And what I'd like to do is, if I had more time, I'd like to sit down and break down this based off of like minutes per appearance and see how badly teams have spent. Because this was the last minute, we didn't get a chance to prep that.
That'd be a fun analysis. We could work on that offline.
Oh, and we will, because we're nerds and that's what we do. But you can tell that people are just spending their money really poorly. They're utilizing that money to go buy players from overseas because they think they'll instantly be better when you can get your Jesus Ferreiras, pay them DP money, and you don't have to worry about getting a Franco Jara, for example, right? Jesus Ferreira is getting paid more than half, or excuse me, less than half of what Franco Jara is getting paid, and he is absolutely cashing in. Franco Jara is sitting on the bench doing nothing and collecting a paycheck. You can cut ties with him and go spread that money the way it should be, and you'd be much better off for it.
Yeah, no disagreements here.
Anybody that you think is an absolute steal?
Oh, I'm sure there's a huge list. Of
Anything
people.
that jumped out at you?
I mean, in terms of steals, you could find a bunch. In terms of just like the young guys that have broken through, like Slonina's less than 150K, Tolkien 100K. You could probably find a bunch of guys. Stephen Fry, 500K.
Wow.
Dude's a veteran in the league and one of the best consistently year in, year out. You know what? I would be very curious to look into Seattle because their team, like on paper, you'd think, how are they affording this? Roldan's making less than $1 million. João Paulo, only 1.3 million. Feels like a pretty big deal.
Leo Chu is making 550. He barely gets off the bench.
Yeah,
so they're not great.
That's pretty high.
Jordan Morris at 1.3.
But then you have an Obed Vargas who's making 75K.
Albert Rusnak at 1.8. Raul Ruidiaz at 3.2. But again, this is people who are they're taking cuts so that they can build teams that will win championships, right? Jordan Morris is like, okay, I don't need to be a designated player. Pay me with TAM and whatever. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, Seattle does a really good job of pairing young talent, I think, with their superstars. Granted, they have good veterans on here too. Freddie Montero, 110,000. That's a good deal.
Yeah. Anybody you think is an absolute steal?
I feel like I would want to look into it a little bit more.
Sure.
I'll
just say it right now. Julian Carranza at 900K when they didn't have to do anything except trade a second-round draft pick for him, and he's leading their line. It's a pretty good one for the Union.
Ryan Gauld's making a lot more than I thought he would be.
Yeah, he's on like 2.2, isn't he?
Yeah. Brian White, less than 500K.
That's a good one.
Yeah, but I mean, I would be interested to see like the players that had some backing to their worth prior to signing. And then like, how did they get a good deal out of that? As opposed to like, oh, this guy was signed to a bad contract because he had like no history. And then he like blew up one season. So like, of course that's going to look great.
Right.
But I want to see like someone brings in like a Jesus Mendez on like, I don't know, 500K. Like that to me would be like a good deal.
For sure.
I mean, he's less than $1 million, so he's panning out pretty well right now.
Yeah, like I said, we're gonna have a lot of fun doing some data. We might have to do some. We'll post some of it on social media. Make sure you're following us so you can see some of our thoughts on some of the really good signings, some of the really bad signings, and players who need to step it up.
Yeah, I think that'd be some fun analysis.
Okay. Before we move on, one player we need to talk about: how is Xherdan Shaqiri the most paid player in this league?
It's not even close.
You're right. It's not even close. Who woke up and was like, yes, pay the man?
Chicago. I guess they were really desperate.
Evidently, man. Listen, he's a good player. He's not the highest paid player in MLS. Good. That's absolutely wild.
No, I mean he's literally making more or basically just about the same as Josef Martinez and Carlos Vela combined. That's insane.
For a last place finish in the East.
Yeah, for a team that scores like 5 goals after 10 games.
He has been hurt for a little bit, but still, like that's just wild.
Yeah.
All right, let's round this up with a really quick segment on dual national team players. Menendez, Ledezma, Slonina, Kate Cowell's brother, all looking to represent other national teams in the
I didn't know
last few
about Kate
weeks.
Cowell.
Kate Cowell has been deciding on Mexico or US, as has his brother. Slonina was called in the preliminary roster for Poland in the Nations League. Ledezma, Menendez, the Cowell brothers are deciding on Mexico or the US. How worried should we be?
I think to some extent, maybe we should be worried. I think it depends on how some of those go. What I think people will gloss over, because I think we see in the news a lot of these players are switching away from the US, like Jonathan Gomez, David Ochoa, Julian Araujo, a lot of guys switching away from the US. But the US has convinced a few like big name, like first team impact players to join the US, like pretty recently. Yunus Musa had plenty of other choices to pick, and he ended up going with the US. Serginho Dest, same thing, convinced him to come play here. Gio Reyna probably could have played for other teams as well. I believe he was eligible for others. So I think we have to keep some perspective that, you know, Greg has done a good job of convincing guys to play for this team. And we have to like learn to pick and choose our battles. Obviously, we're not going to be able to keep every player. How many of these, the question is like, how many of these guys could realistically make a first team impact with this team in the future? Probably not most of them. So should we really be too upset that they've walked? That's probably up to the person. I think in this case, I would be sad to see Slonina and Kate Cowell go to another team, but I wouldn't lose my mind over it either.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think you also forgot about how we were able to convince a ton of the German American population to join us, like Fabian Johnson and Jerome Casevader. You're forgetting very impactful dual nationals for the 2014 team.
Yeah, I think John Brooks too, wasn't he dual national?
John Brooks was a switch, I believe, too.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe wrong there, not sure. Haven't looked that one up. But it's not like you're right. It's not like we haven't benefited from it, right? Serginho Dest, Musa, both of those guys playing massive minutes in our qualifiers and in our Nations League. Everybody's at this point in history, everybody is going to have some sort of tie to another nation that they can go to if they'd like. If you have, it's not about having everybody, it's having the right bodies. If you've got the right people, you're not worried. Do I think Gaga Slonina is the future? Yes. I think we are weak right now in the goalkeeper spot. We've talked about our issues with Stefan and Turner. Horvath is okay. I think Gaga Slonina is the future. I would love to keep him around. But here's the thing. We are producing football talent at a rate that nobody else is producing. For every Gaga Slonina, there are 10 more. Just got to wait a year or two to find them.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
look
at FCC. Look no further than there. Already making the next Gaga Slonina.
I gotta look all the way to the moon. I can't see that far.
Well, you said in the group chat that they're stopping right now, so you don't have to look.
They are. They took a pit stop at number 8 in the power rankings on their way to the moon.
I mean, who beat Gaga Slonina last weekend? I'm just saying.
Facts. Does this affect the way that the men's national team is being viewed going forward? I know we kind of hit on it, but just to really reiterate it, are people looking at this like, man, everybody's trying to go play for other teams? Should I go not play for the men's national team if I can go somewhere else?
Nah, I think they're losing out on some of like the smaller battles. I mean, I think these guys have like good potential, obviously, but I would love to see this team continue to win over these dual national like European players, like your Dest and your Musas. Like go win Balogun from Arsenal.
Yes.
Go convince him to join us. Like I would much prefer to win those battles as opposed to losing someone who's currently like scrapping for game time maybe in like MLS or like a youth team in Europe or something. And I know Bogdan hasn't really played much for Arsenal. I don't know if he's even played at all, but I prefer to go for those like European dual nationals as opposed to the trying to just win over everybody, convince everybody to stay.
Okay, sorry. Want to hear the craziest thing today?
Sure.
So I'm looking at the Poland squad that called in Slonina. By the way, Buksa, Swiderski, Frankowski, Jozwiak, and Slonina now. So 5 MLSers in the Polish national team. You know who else is on this team? There's one name that doesn't quite fit.
Ooh. I feel like it's a weird one.
It's very good. Matt, if Matt's listening, he'll know. He actually brought this up to me a while ago. Or maybe you brought it up to me. You might have brought it up to me.
Why is this kind of like ringing a bell?
You said it was a football manager thing, I think.
A football Ivanov?
No. Matty Cash.
Oh no, I didn't know about that.
No.
Matty Cash is with the Polish
Matt
team?
must have told me then. Matty Cash got called in the Polish national team.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I mean, he was
So
never
again,
going to break it.
We're not the only people losing talented players. Like Trent Alexander-Arnold has nobody to challenge it now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, people are going to be like worried about losing, like Ledezma, but I mean, that's like the equivalent right there. It's like, okay, you lost Matty Cash, but you have Trent, you have Reece James, you have Juan Bissaka, like you have this whole list of right backs already. It's like we have Pulisic, we got Gio Reyna, we got Tim Weah, we got Brendan Aronson. It's like we're gonna be fine. All these guys still have plenty of time to play.
Yeah, but the issue is they're all made of glass. Glass and paper.
That's true. But
we need everybody we can so that we can just cycle through.
We still got Paul Areola, Christian Roldan, Sebastian Lletget.
Right to my veins. Michael Bradley is ready to go when you say the word.
Jordan Lewis.
All right, we've gotten to the U.S. men's national team meme portion of the episode. We're right about done.
Yep.
Let us know your thoughts, guys, on the Messi rumors, on the salary prices. Who do you think is the biggest steal, the worst player in terms of money? And should we be worried about these nationals picking Mexico over us? I don't think so. Mexico in the mud. It's whatever. Thanks for watching or listening to season 3, episode 28. We hope you enjoyed. Make sure you're following us anywhere you get your podcast so you know when we go live. Make sure you're following us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. We will get back to posting those eventually, I promise you. So when we share clips, you can take a look at some of the clips instead of if you can't listen to the whole episode, which you should, but if you can't, we'll have clips ready for you. And yeah, we will see you next time on the next episode of the Designated Players Podcast. See ya.